Hey everyone, hope you're having a good holiday season. I am currently sick, but I wanted to get a video out there trying just one game on each of the commoner lists that I made a deck tech on like a week ago. So hopefully this is helpful for you if you're either a commoner player or just like a new player looking to try out the game and get a better understanding of the hero. So we're just going to run it through one time with each of them. So we're playing into Phi here with Dash.io. So we're going to of course bring our attack headpiece and into any kind of aggro deck. Looking at our sideboard here, obviously Phi is on a fatigue deck, so no need for overload script or payload. There's a consideration to maybe bring Talismanic Lens, but I think the matchup is a bit too aggressive, so we probably would rather have the ability to block here, especially going first. We're going to have to be blocking most of the game since our opponent is going to have the majority of tempo. So let's jump into it here and see how it goes. And the top of our deck is a Boom Grenade, right? So already fantastic. So let's go ahead. And we can actually probably just play that right off the top. And potentially it's past turn. We could just drop the Mech into Arsenal. I think we're fine with that. We'll see what else is there. So we're going to have another blue. So let's think if we want to crank. So if we crank and then we attack our opponent with these two cards, they're just going to block. And unless if they have a 2-block, we don't really get anything out of it. So we might as well just hang on to it, not crank it, and then throw the Mech into our Arsenal. Unfortunately, knowing that there's a blue there, depending if we get a red, we have an item in hand, so that's not super fantastic for us. So let's think about this here. Our turn could play the Hadron Collider and boost it, and crank it, excuse me. Let's see what our opponent can do here. They can potentially do a lot, right? I mean, Phi is a very explosive deck, although they have a Phoenix Flame in hand, so it's not as strong as it could be. The main thing here is that they could use Heat Wave and get 4 value out of it, but I think we're just gonna have to no block for the majority of this turn. They don't Heat Wave, which is kind of interesting. Breaking Point is kind of rough, but I don't actually think this is Chain Link. This is not Chain Link 4, because they went right. Brand, Flame, Breaking Point. So I think they may have misplayed on that. I'm pretty sure that they did. So we're just not going to block here. We'll see if my opponent wants to undo this and potentially take a different line. Okay, they just wanted to razor it. And then they get their flame back. I mean, we're down to 6 already, right? So it's looking bad for us, but we'll see what we can do here. So we are going to have to crank this. We have 2 resources available. We have 2 potential shots here that are free with the Achilles, so let's think. We have 2 resources, we don't need to use Cross Trap, although we could, because we do use Cross Trap, we can get 1 point of damage out of the base arms. Let's at least start here. So we're gonna have this come in for, this would be for 6. So let's do the one that gets us like a decent break point. So let's go with this here. We have a Dissolving Shield off the top. So I think now that we've seen this, I think we may consider breaking Cross Trap so we can use the Dissolving, or so we can get the Dissolving Shield off the top. My opponent is just going to take all of it. So they're down to 9 as well, so we're racing hard, right? Commoner is a very fast format. I think people sometimes are misunderstanding of like the power level because it's, Commoner. So I think people sometimes have the assumption that the format is like a lot slower, lower power. It's definitely not. I actually think that Commoner is faster, more aggressive, and a little bit actually more degenerate than if you're playing like Blitz or something. But it is what it is. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna break Cross Trap because we just need to push all the damage in our hand. It's kind of, wait. So we can grab this off the top. I don't think we need to crank it because we're, oh, I guess we could actually, because then we can get 3 pistol shots in this turn. This is just a game of finding lethal. So let's see here. We are going to be able to get there, at least like in terms of being able to present lethal this turn. Unfortunately, we have a force field on top. That is absolutely terrible for us, and means that we're in a pretty bad spot to potentially just accidentally lose. And like our opponent has 5 cards and we're at 6, and we're gonna have an item in hand. So yeah, it is like that sometimes in this format. We're going to get at least 1 card out of our opponent here, right? Because they're going to go 2. We have this. Would have been nice to be able to use Clockwork base arms or something, but not that it really matters, right? We got our Dissolving Shield, so we're fine. Putting Phi in a 3-card hand, which is pretty good here. Because we know this is a Phoenix Flame, so that's only 1 damage we can block with the Tekla base head. The Force Field in hand is absolutely disastrous though. That is terrible for us. But we'll see what we get. Ooh, this hand is just absolute garbage. Okay. We may have just lost just off of this hand alone. Which is not great. So let's think. Ooh, like what is our best out here? We know like they can't raise us or anything. I think we're just gonna have to take this and see what else we can do. It's like entirely possible. Yeah, we know the flame comes in for 2 because of the heat wave. We'll go ahead, we'll pop our dissolving shield now. This is just all kinds of messed up. I don't really know actually how we get out of this. So let's see. I'm trying to think about if we have any actual way out of this here. Like we need to keep this, but the problem is that we can't because they're presenting lethal, right? Because they're gonna have the Phoenix Flame. The Phoenix Flame comes in for 2. Like if we just didn't draw 2 items here, we would have been fine. So it's a little unfortunate it had to be like this. I guess here's the only thing. We could potentially pop the Dissolving Shield, go to 1, and then that means that we can actually play the Cog Spitter. We can crank in this off the top. I think we'll go with that. It's just the only line that lets us, continue to keep playing the game and not, draw this. So our turn here is not good at all, but it is what it is. So what we're going to do is we can play this. We can crank it, which is at least going to give us 2 action points, right? So we can at least shoot with the pistol, present lethal. We could actually just play the force field. Like, we could just play from hand and then take an extra card. I actually don't hate that line. We actually take 2 cards from the Phi here, which is actually like pretty decent. And this will be for 3, which it's hard. It's a tough call because if we get this, we get 6 block. If we do it the other way around, we get less value, right? So we could play the Cog Spitter, drop the Force Field. Actually, wait, I forgot that we can crank it the same turn, right? So we can do this, we can break it immediately. We still have we can regain our action point by cranking it, and then we can shoot for 2. This deck is oddly complex, and sometimes you just kind of miss lines sometimes. So this is pretty good for us. We navigated out of a very terrible hand, although I think we should be dead. Let's see if they have a blue. They do not have a blue. If they're going to pass turn here, I think we're going to break our backup protocol, and we're just going to go and get a 0 to 60. Or we could get a Medex. It's all the same. It doesn't actually matter, so we'll just get a 0 to 60 instead. And we probably have enough to pivot off of here. We'll see. Like we just have the ability to block 5, so like even if their turn was like blue Ember Blade, we can block the Ember Blade with Force Field, and we still have the Cog Spitter to block their other attack as well. Curious what their arsenal was, why they didn't attack, but not super sure. Maybe it is something like a Searing Touch, like some kind of draconic chain closer they just didn't have enough chain links for. We'll go ahead, we'll send this. It's gonna rip 2 cards. Unfortunately, we don't have an item on the top, so we don't get to send the pistol afterwards, but that's fine. Still pretty good. That is not the hand you want to draw into, but it is what it is. We'll go ahead and we will... Now here's a tough call. I mean, I think we just would want to block 3 here potentially. I think we're fine blocking 3 and then seeing what else our opponent wants to do. See, this is great, right? So we're able to block 2 on here, and then we're going to be able to ward 4. So we're still alive, we're still in it, and I think we probably should have lethal here. Here's the question. Do we want to grab the backup protocol right now? If we grab it right now, we just get to crank it, and we get our action point, so I guess we would. Kind of no reason not to, right? So we'll crank, we'll boost. This lets us send in 2 shots as well, because we can crank our Dissolving Shield. So 2 action points and 6 damage. Unless my opponent has 2/3 blocks here. They do, but we do get their full hand. So I think we're probably set up for lethal next turn. It'd be very, very difficult for our opponent to get out of this, right? Especially because we also have backup protocol red, so we're able just to go and grab like a 0 to 60. That is a terrible hand though, I'm not gonna lie. That is pretty awful. But we can salvage it, which is good. Let's think about an easy way to get lethal here. I actually don't know what the easiest way to get lethal here is. Like we could, I guess we just grab the 0 to 60 every time. It's not that complicated, I guess. So we'll send it, and we'll boost it. Don't think the Phi would run D-Reacts, but I guess we'll find out if they do, right? They do not. So assuming the zipper hit, we'll rip 2 cards, and then we're able just to drop the boom grenade, crank it, send the symbiosis shot for lethal. So oddly, like a pretty tense game actually.